morning, my dear people. This Sunday's liturgy demands of us total love without limits, even for our enemies. It invites us to put aside the logic of violence and replace it with the logic of love. The first reading presents a concrete example of a man with an altruistic heart. That man is David, who, having the possibility in eliminating his enemies, he chooses forgiveness. From that, living in an aggressive world, we are called, all of us, to embrace the attitude of the one who refuses to enter into a logic of aggression and proposes to forgive, preventing the spiral of violence from reaching uncontrollable levels as done by David. He is presented to us as the prototype of the good man who can take revenge on the aggressor, but does not because he knows that the life of the other is sacred and inviolable. The amazing thing in all that is the fact that about 1,000 years before Christ, at the time of great brutally, Israel catechesis teaches that forgiveness is the only way out of violence. An invitation for us all to make a significant move to forgiveness, to forgive one another. Let's go everything and start afresh. As of the second reading, it continues the catechesis began in a few Sundays ago on the resurrection. We can link it with the central theme of today's liturgy, the love for enemies. This means that it is in the logic of love that we prepare this full life God has for us, and that love lived radically and without limitation is an announcement of that new world that awaits us beyond this earth. The resurrection appears in this perspective as the passage to a new life where we will continue to be ourselves, but without the limit that the materiality of our body imposes on us. It will be life in fullness, or as Karl Rahner says, the transposition in the mode of the fullness of what we live here in the mode of deficiency and of quotation. Death is the end of life, but an end understood as a goal achieved, as birth to an infinite world, as the final end of the process of hominization, as the total realization of the utopia of a full life. So, is there any reason to fear death or to see in it the end of everything, or a kind of barrier that puts a definitive end to communion with those we love? Then the gospel reinforces the question of forgiveness. It demands from you and I a heart that is always available to forgive, to welcome, to lend a hand regardless of who is on the other side. It is not just about loving members of one's own social group, one's own race, one's own people, one's own class, party, church, or football club. It is a love without discrimination,
which leads us to see in every man and in every woman in the enemy. In the world in which we live, it is a sign of weakness and cowardice not to respond to aggression or not to pay in kind to those who harm us. And it is a sign of courage and strength to repay evil with evil if possible, which even greater evil. We believe, therefore, that we defend our honor and our pride and win the admiration of those around us. These principles inevitably generate wars between peoples, separations and divisions between members of the same family, enmities, conflict between co-workers, difficult and unfraternal relationships between members of the same Christian or religious community. Why haven't we discovered yet that this part is inhuman? Is it possible to believe that this dynamic of confrontations makes us freer and happier? Dear friends, get this right today. As our logic, as followers of Jesus, the one who died asking the Father for forgiveness for his murderers. And the following is our strength. Our strength and courage are manifested precisely in our ability to reverse this logic of violence and pride and to reach out to those who have hurt and offended us. A Christian cannot resort to weapons, violence, lies, revenge to resolve any situation of injustice that has affected him or her. My dear people, let us cultivate that seed of forgiveness planted in our hearts by our Lord Himself and make the world a better place to be. I wish you a wonderful and fruitful Sunday, and let's leave the word. The Lord be with you and with your spirit. I thank you all for being part of this faith moment. Be blessed and let the love of God surround you. Thank you so much.